Hey Notion fans, my name is Ben. I'm a Notion consultant and programmer, and today we're going to be having a look at Notion's new button feature and the automations that buttons allow you to do inside of Notion. I'm particularly excited about this feature, and I've got a bunch of demos to show you and a kind of how to use it. It's really going to reduce the need for some of the third-party tooling like Zapier and Make in the future. Pretty basic right now, but there's a lot of awesome things that you can do, as you'll see in this video. So watch today's video to get an overview of how buttons work, how they're going to be replacing the old template button block, and some use cases and examples. Stick around at the end. I'm going to talk about what I think the future of automation in Notion is. I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comments as well, so stay tuned. Let's start out by creating some Notion buttons to see what they allow us to do. I can hit the / command and type BUT to get access to the advanced block button, which says it's new here, and it says it runs custom automations with a click. Let's click to add one of those. So we'll see here when we click it, it's added a little button for us, and we can change the label here. So if we wanted to recreate our Add Daily Tasks template button we see above, I could give this a label of Add Daily Tasks. Each button allows you to add icons to it, which looks really nice. And then we can add steps that are going to run when you click this button. And you don't have to only have one step, you can have multiple steps, and the button automation gets run from top to bottom in the order that you've defined them. So I can add a step that says insert blocks below the button, and maybe I put some tasks in here, workout and hydrate, and let's add another step. And maybe I'll do another insert blocks above the button this time. So insert blocks allows you to configure where you want those blocks to be injected when you click that page. So let's put another one here that's like tracking. You can reorder these by clicking the ... menu next to any step, and you can add steps above and below. You can duplicate a step, or you can move up and down. So if I wanted the above button insert blocks to run first, I could move the other one down below it. And then you just click done. And now when I click this button, both those steps are going to run in order, and it tells us that the automation was run successfully. I can click undo to revert back, which is kind of nice. But again, you'll see here that tracking was added above the button and workout and hydrate was added below the button. So let's see what else we can do with buttons. Let's go ahead and make another button below our Add Daily Tasks button. So again, we'll type /BUT, add a button. And you'll see here, these are the 5 steps that are currently available in Notion. We can edit pages, we can add a page, we can show a confirmation, which allows you to take a step and make a yes or no decision to continue the automation as we go down. And we'll see that in action later. So let's say we wanted to add a page to our task database. We can say add a page, and we can search for databases. We want to add it to our task database down below. And let's say we want to add a task. So this is the name. You can edit different properties. There are some automatic properties that you can use, which are really handy. So let's say I wanted to assign the task to whoever clicks the button. So I can pick assignee, and I can say from this automation, the person who clicked the button. We can also have dates. So we could say the date would be the now or today automation. So today would insert the date, and now is going to insert a date with a time. So I'm going to assign this to myself when I click it and add today's date. So maybe we call this one add a today task, and we'll give it another icon with a check. And so when we add a page, we can click done, and we'll see here, if I go ahead and click add task today, you'll see that it automatically created a task with the current date and it assigned it to me. Now we can take that step and do something with the next step. So let's add another step, and we'll say open page, and I can pick select page. There's another automation called new page added. So whatever page was created by the automation, I can utilize it in a later step. So let's say new page added, and I want to open page in side peek. So now when I add a today task, let's click that, it automatically opens up that page in the sidebar. And it also gives you a little notification that it created a page down below, which you can click there if you're not using the open in sidebar action. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those pages I just created. And we're going to see what else we can do with tasks and buttons. So let's say I've got some daily tasks here that I want to do every day, and I want to mark them as done. So I can check these off as done, and they'll disappear over to my done tab because I've checked them as done. And we've got a filter here that says where the status is done. Let's say I wanted to reset my tasks every day for my daily tasks. So let's make a new button. And I'm going to say reset daily tasks. And let's do reset maybe, refresh, cycle. Okay, guess we can't find a good icon for this. We'll use the motorcycle, reset daily tasks. Let's add a step, and we're gonna edit pages in this time. And I wanna edit pages in my task database. And this allows us to make changes to all of the tasks in the database, or we can add filters to decide which pages we want to edit when we click this button. So I'm going to add some filters here, and I'm going to say where the type is daily. So that'll find all of my tasks that are daily tasks, and then I can add another step to edit the property. So let's go ahead and edit the property, and we'll say that the date is today. And I'm also going to change the status to not started. So I just have to click done here. And now when I reset my daily tasks, it's automatically going to assign it to the current day and mark them as unfinished. So this could be a nice way to do recurring tasks in a more procedural way where you're just clicking a button to move those tasks back to a certain state. And now I can mark those as done today. And I can do that as much as I want, which is really cool. So now I've got an automated system, which is resetting our daily tasks. So next up, we'll have a look at the confirmation step in Notion automation. So I'm going to add another step, and we're going to show a confirmation, and it's by default going to ask me, are you sure you want to continue? And you can have multiple steps. Like, let's say we say yep or nope. And you'll see that the yep button is going to complete the action and the nope will stop the action. So any steps after this are going to rely on you hitting yes to complete the action. So let's say I move these down and I say, are you sure you want to reset your daily tasks? Okay, and let's hit done again. So now let's go ahead and we've got our workout, track nutrition, and journal daily tasks. I'm going to click the reset daily task button, and it gives me, are you sure you want to reset your daily task? And I got 2 buttons here. And you'll see that the motorcycle icon that I use in my button kind of comes through. So it kind of gives you a hint at what the context is here. So if I click nope, nothing is going to happen. The step is going to just end at the show confirmation, and it will not complete this next step in the chain. So if I click reset daily tasks and click yep, it will actually run that and edit the 3 pages. So again, if I've got checks, these are done, I can reset my daily tasks. Nope, stays the same. If I reset daily tasks again and I say yes, now we see they're back in the task database as unfinished and assigned to the current date. So far, you may have noticed that we're only really looking at these buttons in the context of Notion pages and operating on pages inside of databases outside of where the buttons are. But where these buttons really start to shine is when we start putting Notion buttons inside of database templates. This allows us to operate on the page itself within a database, and you'll see with these next demos how powerful this can be. So let's go ahead and edit this task template that I've got inside of my task database. And we're going to go ahead and add another button. And I would like to edit pages in. And when we go to select our database inside a database page, you'll note this new value that says this page. So this allows us to make changes to the page that the button is contained in inside the database. So let's say I wanted to grab this task, and we'll add a little icon here, down arrow to indicate that it's being assigned to me. I'm taking it down, and we'll set the assignee to the person who clicked the button. And maybe we add another step that is confirmation, starting this task, question mark, and we'll change this to yes and no. And let's say we are starting the task. That would be a continuance of this action. So again, we're going to take this page and we're going to make the status in progress. And we'll click done. Now, let's go apply that to our Notion demo buttons page here. And just for example's sake, I'll remove my test user here. And so let's say I'm looking through this workspace and I find this task and I want to start working on it. I can now click grab this task. And am I starting this task? Yes, I am. So it'll switch it to in progress and the assignee is Ben. So where this might be really useful is in sort of Kanban style views where you have certain statuses for needs review or needs a look at. And for example, this could be great for creating a new status of type. Say we could edit this status and let's add a needs review. It's in progress, but this task needs a review. And we might put a button in here that says ready for review. And when the button is clicked, we are going to edit pages, and we will edit this page, and we're going to change the status to needs review. And something else we might do is there may be a person at your business who is responsible for reviewing these things. And so maybe that will pick them specifically, and then we'll click done. So if I grab this task and I work on it, I'm starting it on progress, and then I've finished the task and now it's ready for review. I can click ready for review, and it automatically switches it to needs review and assigns that person. And if you have other properties here, you can manipulate those as well. So one thing you might want to do is add another button for marking this as complete. So when this is clicked, I would like to modify this page. I would like to make the status as done. And I would like to mark the completed at the exact time when it was finished, which is now. And I can click done. So let's mark this as complete. It's moved to done, and the completed at is now assigned. In past days, I would have had to use make for this. So here's an example of a make module where I am looking at items in my task database by updated time. And when those items are updated, I am updating that page, and I'm setting the completed at field to the current time. Start time is now, and including the time. So I would have had to have a whole separate application running and a module running with this automation in order to set that completed at field. So this allows us to immediately assign a completed at date. So now we don't have to use the updated at property and the assumption that the last time a task was updated was when it was completed. Not always true. So this is a huge win for simple internal automation. So now we've kind of got a whole pipeline of buttons here that we can manipulate this task through our journey. But let's say we had another task here that was big old task. Let's open that up. And we've got our template button in there from before. But let's say we wanted to, this is too big of a task in order to be a task. This should be a project, right? So let's add a new button, and let's say convert to project. And we'll give it the project folder icon. And when this button is clicked, we're going to add a step, and we're going to add a page to, and I want to select projects. And for now, I'm going to call this big old task project. There's no way to currently bring in the title of this page into the name. So we might want to say new project, for example, and then we can assign tasks through it. So on the project side, we're going to create a new project and assign tasks to it. And then I want to open the page, and the page is going to be the new page added. And we want to open that in full page mode and click done. So now I've got a convert to project button. And if I click this convert to project, it will immediately open that new project, and I can rename it. So this is now the big old task project. And we've got the big old task related to that project. So that allows us to create a project, relate something to it, and then open that project up so that we can keep editing it. And, like I said, unfortunately right now, there's no way to, it'd be great if I could reference, say, the way that we're referencing this page, I could reference this page's name in the project. And that way I could say, add to this project, rename it after the task. So there's lots of stuff we can do in terms of moving things around, editing pages, and manipulating data in our databases. What else can we do with properties? Let's go ahead and click a new to make a new task, and we'll open that up. And I'll go ahead and start working on that. Yes, cool. So what else can we do with properties in database buttons? So let's add a button. And let's look at editing the pages, and we're going to edit this page. And I've got a couple different things in here. I've got statuses, so we can change the status. We can add assignees, and you'll see here that it's got a couple different things we can do. So we can add assignee, we could remove an assignee, or we could replace assignee entirely. So the adding would be great for something like voting. So if you had a voting system, this might be like vote for this feature, right? And I could just say person who clicked the button should add to the assignee property, right? So anytime anybody comes in and clicks this button, they're going to get added to that assignee. And then we could use a formula to count how many votes are on it. So that's a way that you could use the assignee or the person property and the add action to edit that property. Again, with dates, you can pick now and today, or you can pick a very specific date when you click that button. Same thing goes with a lot of these other properties. Right now, it doesn't look like you can reference properties from the page, but that would be nice in the future to be able to do that. So let's do one more example, and I think this is a really helpful one that a lot of people are noticing is much improved by this button. In the past, we may have had a project template. So let's say this is a new project, and let's go ahead and open that. And I've got a linked version of my task database down here, which is filtered by the project that was just created. Now, in order to create a default set of tasks for that project, I used to have to either have another database here where I dragged the tasks out of and into this database. But in a lot of cases, you were having to drag the default tasks in, and then you could say assign them to people, give them a type, or apply a template in order to get them going. And now we'll see they're assigned to that project. Now, this can be vastly improved by using buttons. So let's see how might we do the default tasks system in Notion buttons. So let's create a button. And we're going to name this add default tasks. And we'll give it an add button. Project folder looks good since we're using that in the project. And let's click a step and add a page. And we're going to select the task database. And what did we have in our default tasks? We had hello and world. So let's create our first task. That's hello. And we're going to assign the project is this page because that's our project. And if you wanted to, you could also set the type, the tags, and the assignee might be who clicked the button gets assigned that first task, the hello task. And perhaps then we'll duplicate this and we will add our world task. And again, the project is this page. And instead of the person who clicked the button, we'll select a specific person who's responsible for that. So in a lot of project teams, certain actions and certain project kickoff stuff will be performed by a specific person. So that might be helpful there. So now we can just click done. And let's have a look at what that looks like if we create a second new project and open that one up. So now we've got our default task, which we can drag in. But instead of that, we can just click this button now. And we'll see here that we've already got our tasks created for us. They're assigned to Ben Air and they have the second new project. So that is a super simple way to create that default tasks thing. And you could, further enhance this button by adding, say, a confirmation before you create it to let them know what it's going to do. You might have it create pages in other databases and so on and so forth, and then open up those tasks at the end of that if you wanted to. So we could open a task here and you can pick which one you want it to open. So maybe it opens up that last one from step 2. It's a little bit hard to see at this point. We can't really see what that step is, but we can make some assumptions that the order is the same in the action list here. So this would be step 1, it appears first, and then step 2 appears next. Because these are ellipsed here and cut off, we can't tell what's what, but maybe they'll improve that in the future. So that's a really helpful way to be able to really quickly add default tasks to projects. So what do I see the future of these buttons being and automation in Notion in general? I took some notes as I'm, playing around with this new feature. And I think the things that I'm looking forward to is having a deeper integration with Notion's formula system. So if we can trigger an action when we click a button and run some procedural code through a Notion formula, we can make some decisions about how to continue and what to do. Some of the other things we're really excited about, and I say we as in the, Notion community, is programmatic access to the button. So can we trigger a click on a button when something else happens in Notion or in a different application even? Could these buttons be the beginning of a webhook system where we can start communicating with outside services as we go along to further reduce that need to have a third-party system like Zapier or Make to help us do those things? Button properties is also another thing that I'm really excited about. That would be a column in a database that you could put a button in so that there are triggerable actions as you're looking at a bunch of different data. So you could, trigger something to happen without having to go into the page itself manually. And those ones could really react to formulas in other areas of the data that you have in your database. So that's what I'm particularly excited about this stuff. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about building with buttons or what the future might be with Notion automation. This is a very exciting time, and it's a reflection of returning to Notion's roots in no code, and this has particularly got me stoked. So hopefully you are too. Until next time, I'm Ben. Have fun automating all the things.